Hey guys, welcome to Shano Anime TV, a brand new channel here on YouTube where we deep dive into all things anime. Now before we get into it, we'd really appreciate it if you guys would like, share and subscribe to our channel for new content. We'll be trying our best to get it out to you as soon as possible and as regularly as possible. Like I said earlier, we are a new channel here on YouTube and we'd really appreciate your support going forward. So again, like, share, feel free to leave a comment down below and remember to subscribe. Right, so today we'll be talking about the Shadow Hokage himself, the man in darkness, Danzo Shimura. Danzo Shimura. Now, unlike a lot of you guys out there, I remember the first time I saw this guy thinking, this is one of the coolest characters I've ever seen. The way he walked, the way he spoke, he had this aura of mystery and danger that was very appealing to me. He had the demeanor of some sort of mafia mob boss. His cavalier attitude towards the Hokage gave us our first real glimpse into the political intrigues of the Hidden Leaf village. We immediately learned that the Hokage's rule was not absolute. It could be challenged. I loved his introduction to the show. Despite his disdain for Tsunade, he was cordial and respectful, never once failing to address her as anything other than Princess Tsunade. Now, don't get me wrong, Danzo is a villain. He has no shortages of vile deeds to support that. From working alongside and conspiring with Orochimaru, to conspiring with Hanzo of the Salamander, to sow seeds of war, seeds that would result in the destruction and destabilization of the Hidden Rain village, plunging it into anarchy and chaos. Let's not forget the elimination of the entire Uchiha clan by stopping Shisu Uchiha from being able to prevent the coup which could have changed the Uchiha's fate. Let's also not forget that he stood his men down during the pain invasion of the village, not to mention a few assassination attempts on the Hokage and a few failed village takeovers. And while many of these acts are worthy of contempt, I do believe that many people tend to somewhat misunderstand him. Now, as I've observed, the general consensus I get about him from others is that he's a selfish and evil man who hides behind the facade of protecting the village in order to gain power. And while there is great truth to him being selfish and power hungry, the idea of him simply not caring about the Leaf Village, I simply can't agree with that. The way I see it, Danzo is not against the village. In fact, he may be the greatest fanatic of the village, willing to murder innocent people in cold blood and partake in shady activities for the sake of protecting the village. He is simply willing to do whatever it takes to protect the village as he sees fit from the shadows, which he believes is where a shinobi should truly operate. They are the roots that support the great trunk of the Hidden Leaf village, invisible from beneath the earth. One could say Danzo was a necessary evil. Danzo's mindset is in many ways similar to his former master. Second Hokage Tobirama was brilliant. He was logical and pragmatic while still being very compassionate. Many of Danzo's traits are similar to the second Hokage, but many more times extreme. Danzo's stern and calculating nature was the perfect offset to Saratobi's pacifism and idealism. Honestly, I don't think without Danzo, Saratobi could have maintained those many years of peace he did. Now for me, Danzo's dark side is deeply rooted in two things. The first one being his jealousy of and ambitions towards the title of Hokage. This goes way back to his younger days, with his old friend and rival, Saratobi. And lifelong rivals they were. Danzo ran behind Saratobi his entire life, stood in his shadow his entire life, tried to surpass him his entire life. This made him increasingly resentful, especially the day Saratobi was chosen as Hokage. Made even worse given the fact that Danzo was passed over due to his own lack of convictions. He took this very hard, for you see, by becoming Hokage, Saratobi had made a leap far above anything that Danzo could have imagined or even hoped to reach. By standing at the top, Hiruzen had become an obstacle that Danzo would have to overcome, one that he would dedicate his entire life to overcoming. How ironic that to be Hokage, that was Danzo's dream. Now, whether you like Danzo or not, whether you think he's a villain or a hero, whether you think the events like the Uchiha massacre was wrong, or simply couldn't be helped and was justified, or whether you see his many acts as unforgivable or not, there is one thing that many people believe that I am inclined to agree with. Despite him being one of my favorite characters, I honestly don't think he would have been a good Hokage. Why? Well, that brings me to my second reason, the will of fire. This is the creed and principle upon which the Hidden Leaf Village was built, the lasting philosophy of first Hokage Hashirama Senju, an unyielding desire to protect the village and everyone in it, the idea of seeing every member of the village as family that should be protected at all costs, the idea of putting the lives of the people first, especially the children, the ones who will pass on the will of fire to the next generation. This is a fundamental belief of everyone who calls themselves a leaf shinobi, and is a necessary characteristic of every single Hokage.
I will go out and play the lure, of course. You're the ones who will carry on the will of fire, who will defend our village in the future.
But you can't. I mean, you're the Hokage. There is no greater shinobi in our village.
Danzo, you are always vying with Saru over one thing or another. But what's necessary here is for you to work together as comrades. Don't make this a personal fight. The fact is, you took too long to reach a decision. First, you must take a hard look at yourself and come to understand who you are objectively. Or else at this rate, you'll place all your comrades in danger.
While from a young age, Danzo had the love and protection of the village in his heart, he lacked the conviction necessary to see it through, to stick to his ideals of the shinobi, and put the life of the villagers above his own. He also believed that the right Hokage was the most important aspect of the village, even more so than any individual villager. He believed that the right Hokage was quintessential to protecting the village. He saw people like Hiruzen and Tsunade as weak and unwilling to do the things necessary to keep the leaf safe. Things like allowing the rogue ninja Sasuke to remain unchecked. Due to mere sentimentality, he believed they needed a firmer hand, and while I do agree with him to a point, his view was that the ends always justify the means. This misunderstanding of the Will of Fire, or lack thereof, pushed Danzo to seek the title of Hokage above all things, thinking that by becoming Hokage he would have finally caught up to Hiruzen, and he would be able to rule and protect the village as he saw fit. Danzo's Will of Fire was constantly eroded by his pursuit of power and for his ambitions towards the title of Hokage. Ironically, his pursuit of Hokage caused him to forget the reason he was never chosen to be Hokage in the first place.
Saru. Love and treasure the village and protect all those who believe in you. And nurture those ninja to whom you can entrust the next generation. Starting tomorrow, you're Hokage. Saru, take care of the leaf.
Yes, sir.
Sarutobi, you're always walking ahead of me.
Self-sacrifice is a shinobi's duty. Only in the very end did Danzo truly find his Will of Fire, which reflects back on the words of Itachi Uchiha, "A man never truly knows who he is until the end." It was only in his last moments that Danzo was able to truly follow in the footsteps of Hiruzen and the former Hokage. It was in the very end that Danzo found his Will of Fire.
This time, I will too. I will stop them. But in the end, I never got to be Hokage. No matter how far I ran, I could never catch up to you.
Danzo was a character mired in darkness, a character who lost his way, one who lost track of what was truly important, letting his own shortcomings define him, one who caused endless pain and suffering in pursuit of a title he never achieved, one who I believe, despite his deeds, truly cared for his village and his friend.
Or a tree leaf upon which light shone. I was nothing but a foundation hidden in darkness. So, what do you think of me? Hiruzen? What was I to you?